All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Today we are obviously on a Zoom meeting, and I am obviously wearing ridiculous circus makeup, so just gonna address the elephant in the room. I'm in the middle of shows at the Grand Sierra Resort, and I have one of the founders of the Para app on the Zoom right now, and I also have Jimmy. Jimmy works for Zoom as well. Jimmy's been my contact, and we've been going back and forth for the last few months, and I've been watching this app evolve into what it is now, and it's been a great app so far, and I use it. And now we have some news that we're going to break, that the app now, you can actually see driver pay before, or what is it called? Driver pay before you actually accept the order. So you can actually, DoorDash has been a little bit sneaky lately, trying to hide the good orders and stuff. So now these guys have helped us kind of make the app transparent again. And personally, I thoroughly enjoy that. And I think that DoorDash became what it was because it was a transparent app. Like, unlike Postmates, they didn't show you the tips and stuff up front. DoorDash kind of took the more honest route. In my opinion, I think that was better for them, but now they're kind of, I don't know. Anyways, I enjoy what you guys are doing. So everyone, this is David. David, you're one of the co-founders of Para.
Yeah, correct. No, thanks for having us, Tanner. Thanks for having us, Tanner. The team is myself, Jimmy, and Jeff, so we're sort of a small team here. And I think really the guiding principle that we're really trying to go on is just to let drivers make informed decisions, really. So we believe that the reason that we've built and launched this is that this is something DoorDash should be doing already themselves, frankly. I think one thing to clarify is right now the tip transparency service is separate from the app, but there are plans to build that into the app in the next couple of weeks. But right now it's a separate landing page. But yeah, thank you for trying it out, and both the normal app and tip transparency.
Yeah, so let's start off with, what are the features of the app in general? What are all the features that you guys have so far?
Yeah, right now we have automatic earnings tracking, so you can connect across the different apps you work on. So you can connect the apps you're on, and the earnings will automatically come in. As part of that too, you're able to set a goal and track towards that goal. So you can set a weekly or monthly goal. And the idea there is, at the end of a day, hard work to know what you earned. It's really painful to have to sit there and do the math. So that's sort of the core feature in the app right now. I think that plus goal tracking. We also have a local city driver chats in there. So right now we have a general chat room, but if you hop in the app and click request, we're starting to spin up local city driver chats. And those are sort of small, intimate groups where people, it's a combination of sort of shooting the breeze as well as, giving tactical information. So that's the app right now.
Awesome. So I have a question. You guys probably know the answer. Is DoorDash the only app that is kind of hiding the good orders, or is Uber Eats and Grubhub doing that as well?
So DoorDash is the only app that is hiding the tip when they know it, when they already know it. So when you order on DoorDash on the other side, effectively most of the time you're giving the tip up front. So DoorDash knows exactly what you're going to get. The other apps, Grubhub being the most transparent, Uber Eats tells you most of the tips. So with Uber Eats, you have more people who tip after the fact, but the least transparent from the tip side is definitely DoorDash. I think for the other apps, there's some things we're looking at that could be helpful. I think, for example, on Grubhub, you don't know the miles on a trip, or Uber Eats sort of hides the end destination on a stacked order. But to us, really sort of the most egregious of the hidden information is the tip on DoorDash.
That's strange. I didn't know that Grubhub didn't tell you I guess they probably show you like a little zigzag of where it's going and stuff, maybe, or maybe at least kind of, but they don't tell you the exact miles, which might be smart on their end, because you have the DoorDashers now looking at it and is this $2 a mile? And people like me, I'm just doing the math, is this worth my time? No, it's not. But if I saw a little zigzag, I might be like, all right, looks close. I remember on Postmates, what they would do is they would zoom it in a little bit so every order looked the same distance, And unless you knew the street names and stuff, you would not know how far it was.
Yeah, being caught on that, I always wondered how that magic worked, and that the longer distance trips look shorter than the shorter distance trips sometimes.
Yeah.
And you're right, like unless you're a local expert and you know exactly where on the map that is, you can sort of get tricked.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I got tricked a lot of times. I was like, what? How am I delivering to the other side of the strip? I don't get this. It looked like a short little drive. And I was driving all the way across the street or across the city. So I'm assuming Para, is that only for DoorDash then?
Correct. Right now, the tip transparency service is just for DoorDash.
Yeah.
But we're looking to try and expand it to other apps. And I think if you or any listeners here have something that they just find annoying or would like to know, we would love to know, because we're in this process of trying to think. I mean, right now we're in the process of just keeping the tip transparency tool working well and making sure that it gets into people's hands. But we hope to do this for others. So, the people who are listening are the experts. So whatever you're thinking, please let us.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, if you guys have any, for the audience who's listening, if you guys have any questions or any concerns or any ideas, comment them down below. I know that these guys are going to be looking through the comments, and so will I. So anything helps, any feedback helps. So let's see. What do you think is the future of driving? Do you guys think that DoorDash is kind of going to take it away, or do you think Uber Eats and Grubhub are going to kind of catch up? Because we kind of are seeing the process of Postmates die off right now, with all their drivers having to switch over to Uber Eats, and now they're giving Uber Eats drivers Postmates orders. Do you guys think Uber Eats and Grubhub are going to hold on, or do you think it's going to eventually be DoorDash?
I think that's a fascinating question. I think it's going to be competitive for a while, right? If I remember correctly, I believe it was Grubhub that was bought by a large European delivery company, Just Eats or Just Deliver.
Yeah.
And they're doing super well in Europe, and it's going to be interesting to see their foray over here. It should, I think competition is good for people in that, the last thing you'd want is probably DoorDash to be the monopoly, basically.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's a good thing. I also think that you've started to see sort of an explosion in other sorts of delivery, sort of local delivery, pharmacy delivery, et cetera, right? I think for a while, people thought that DoorDash would come to dominate, right? So, but I think the example I give is, DoorDash had that partnership with Walmart. So that was their foray into trying to deliver things beyond food. And I'm sure that a lot of your listeners, at least as far as I'm aware, almost nobody I know wants to take those Walmart orders because they're awful, right? It's like, hey, go drop off at 6 different locations, all at a $0 tip. So I think, I know. I hope at the very least that it's going to be interesting and that we're going to see more players over the next couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. I agree about the Walmart thing. I had to literally restock a liquor store one time. I got there and the guys look at my car, and it was a Ford Focus at the time. And they're like, I don't think this is going to fit. And I was like, what do you mean it's not going to fit? I was like, my car's empty. They're like, oh, there's 3 more of these things. And I was like, wait. So I ended up stocking an entire liquor store for $6. I don't even know if I made $6. It might have been just 4. It was
imagine if you got pulled over for that. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, it was literally like I had frozen pizzas and stuff under my seats. The whole entire car was packed, and I was so mad. I may have actually left a few frozen.
The worst I've had is a whole bunch of LaCroix, right? So I've had boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of sparkling water. But,
oh my God! So do you deliver yourself?
I do. I will not claim to be an expert. I think I probably have 300 deliveries on DoorDash under my belt. But I've also tried out Uber Eats, Postmates, Instacart, Shipped. So I've sort of dabbled. Although I say the one I'd sort of dabbled, I haven't really done any rideshare. I think sort of a dirty secret, though, is in an old life, I'd actually worked at sort of Uber corporate. So I had sort of spent time on the city ops launch team, etc. So familiar about rideshare from that perspective. I've done some rides in an old life, but mostly delivery.
Awesome. Yeah. I started off with Uber back in like, I think it was 2014. It was like 13 or 14 or so, right when Uber came out. And I was like, what? You can get paid to drive around? I'm down. Like, I was like, all I ever wanted to do was be a driver, just hang out in my car all day and listen to music. But then I noticed every single night I would end up in downtown LA. Like somehow the app dragged you to downtown LA. And it was good though. At first I was making really good money at first. I'd probably make $100 every like 3 hours or so. And it was great, like side income, because I was working as a personal trainer at the time, and I'd just like log in right after and then start driving around. So then, is that how you got into the driver kind of world? Was working through Uber at first?
Yeah, that's correct. So I'd helped launch Uber in Las Vegas. And what was interesting at the time, I think, when you're first starting to launch a city, you know everybody that you're working with. So I had an intimate, close relationship with the first couple hundred drivers that we signed up because, that's part of launch is, you've personally signed everybody up. They all had sort of my cell phone number. And that was awesome. And I think, so it helped launch Uber in Las Vegas and eventually was part of this team which oversaw sort of the desert. So Nevada, Arizona, Utah, New Mexico. And a lot of my work was around sort of driver pricing and incentives, actually. So we did a lot of the sort of incentive structures, a lot of testing of what would work, what wouldn't work. And at the time I was young in my early 20s and, thought that was pretty interesting. Sort of I'd quit Uber and basically went on to do some other things. But I think a couple things really stuck with me. I'd heard from a lot of drivers that, it wasn't cool that different people were getting different incentives and different offers. And they just didn't like the fact that we were sort of playing guinea pig with people. And it wasn't something that I'd really thought about at the time, but that stuck with me. And I think a second thing really stuck with me, which is I'd heard from some old driver friends, hey, I didn't really know what my actual earnings were. And, I didn't know about depreciation of my car. I didn't know about insurance. And that pained me because I had what was effectively a fancy Excel sheet on every individual person in our state, where I could tell you down to the cent what your earnings were.
Yeah.
And I think it was this idea basically that this information was out there. It just wasn't being put into people's hands to help people make an informed decision. And that's really where all of this was born from.
Wow. Okay. So, and when did you stop working with Uber? And when did
this would have been 27. This would have been 2017. So I was at Uber 15 through 17. Went on to do a couple other things. Para started off sort of March, March or April of COVID, basically.
Oh, perfect timing.
So but I think how it. Sorry.
Did you already have the idea of it in your head before COVID started?
No, not this version of it. So how it all started actually was at the time there's all this talk about sort of the CARES Act and PPP, unemployment insurance, EIDL, and I saw a lot of sort of misinformation online. I sort of went and read the CARES Act and basically realized that I had no clue what to do, and I just spent hours reading this thing and realized that people were just saying a lot of the wrong things online on forums. So we built sort of a very simple tool that asks you 5 questions, sort of like, what gig platform have you worked on? How much did you make? What state are you in? And basically answer 5 questions, and we will tell you how much each of the programs will pay you and how to apply from each of the states. Because at that point of time, each state was different, and it was a bit of a mess, right? Some states were like, hey, apply, get rejected, and wait. Or some were, hey, apply, get rejected, then apply again. And some were, don't do anything. So for us, we just sort of built this tool that made it answer these 5 things. Here's the information. And we ended up having, 5,000 or so drivers use it. And from there, we just started digging in. What else could we do to make life just a little easier, a little more convenient? And that's, how we started, basically.
Awesome. Okay. And so is Para like the first kind of business that you've started, or do you have an entrepreneur journey past that, previous to it?
No, it's the first company that I've started. It wasn't the plan. It started off as sort of this, project, this project that I'd worked on with my roommate, who's now my co-founder. But no, before this, I'd sort of worked at a startup and I'd sort of worked at Uber in operations, but you know, my first time to the rodeo, definitely.
Okay, cool. And so do you guys want to talk about future features or anything that you guys are working on for Para?
Uh, yeah, I think right now we're really focused on just getting this tip transparency tool in as many people's hands as possible. I think we believe that at first when we'd launched, we tried to keep it a little quiet to fly under the radar, but I think we've come to this idea that there's power in numbers. And our hope is that by getting it in enough people's hands, DoorDash won't be able to shut this down quietly. So our end goal for this really is hopefully we can try and get DoorDash to just make it so that everybody is able to see tip transparency on all the tricks. I think once we've worked towards that, you know, what I mentioned earlier is we're looking at trying to do this for some other platforms. So I'm not sure exactly where this goes beyond this, but I think with the same driving principle of people should be able to make an informed decision, and there should be tools that just make, you know, that works on behalf of drivers and represents their interests, basically.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So if you guys are listening, audience, please consider sharing this video so that way we can get the word out and hopefully this spreads to as many people as possible. It's a free service that they're offering. So really, you might as well sign up if you want to see the tips and stuff. It's been super helpful for me because I'll be sitting at home and like, $8 order, nah. And then I'll get the text. I'm like, oh, it's a $16 order. Let's go. Yeah. So for me, it's been super convenient because I am the typical cherry picker who sits at home until I get a super, super good order. And then I'll get my like daily dash started, you know? So have you guys been driving lately and using this service yourself, I'm assuming?
I have been, yeah. I think the moment when we realized that we had to launch this and get it in people's hands quickly is I had a similar experience. So I was out driving, got a $4 ping going 4.5 miles south out of San Francisco. They're used in an old, like, I would have never have taken that because it's 4.5 miles deadhead back, right? And there's no restaurants there at all. But I got the text. There was a $14 or $15 tip behind it. Okay, let's take it, right? Yeah. I think that was sort of amazing as I realized that I changed my behavior because of this. And that's when we realized, okay, we need to really get this out there. But yes, I've been driving. I'm in fact going to go out right after this call because it's important that we test it as well, right? So I'm driving a bunch recently.
Of course, yeah, you have to use your own product as well and know all the ins and outs about it. I personally wear my own shoes only, exclusively, so that way if anyone complains about like, oh, this and this about my shoe, I'm like, I already know. I wear the shoes all day long. Yeah. Or if they're like, it doesn't work this way, I'm like, yeah, it does. Trust me. So let's see. So as far as like, how did you get this, like, so I'm clueless to how any of the tech apps and that kind of stuff get started. Were you a programmer or coding? Like, how did you get into this originally?
I'm not. So my background is more in sort of like operations, pricing, incentives. My co-founder, Jeff, is who we call the brains behind the operation. So he was an engineer at Twitter for a while and then at some startup since, and he's sort of the coder with the brains behind this.
Awesome. Okay. So how many founders are there of Para? I'm going to get you into the stuff because that interests me the most.
Yeah, so it's myself and Jeff, and then Jimmy joined us shortly after. Jeff and I know each other from high school, actually. So we've known each other from high school, went our separate ways, and ended up sort of becoming roommates again in San Francisco. And that's how we know each other.
Awesome. So you guys live in San Francisco currently?
We do, yeah. And
do you have to be in San Francisco to have a tech startup company? Like, or is it just happens?
No, and I think you definitely don't nowadays, right? I mean, Jimmy isn't with us in San Francisco. We have some other people in our team who aren't in San Francisco. To be honest, we may not have continued to be here, but I think, you know, with all the stuff going on with Para, we'd considered, you know, looking to go somewhere else, but we just are so slammed with the work. We're like, we don't have the mental energy to leave right now. But, you know, I think there's this trend that, you don't, right? I don't think you do.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. As soon as I moved out of California, like it was like a weight got off my shoulders. It was like everything got 25 to 30% cheaper. Like life, there's no traffic in Vegas and stuff. And for me,
Yeah.
especially as a circus acrobat, Vegas was the place to go. And it's been such a
Oh
blessing.
man, I did the opposite of you. I moved from Las Vegas to San Francisco, so I had the opposite shock, right?
What is this traffic? Wait, are you from Vegas?
Yeah. No, but I'd lived in Vegas for 4 years.
Okay. And when did you move out of there?
Would have been around 2017.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like Vegas though, when you lived there?
I did. I'm a big outdoors person. I love sort of red rocks. I love rock climbing, so that was amazing. I did the 21-year-old mistake of moving to one of these apartments by the Strip and quickly realized my errors and I lived on sort of East Bonneville by downtown for a while as well.
Oh my God.
But yeah.
I've always lived as far away from the Strip as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna drive there, that's all I need. But I try to always avoid the Strip at all costs.
Yeah. Whereabouts are you, brother?
Very, very south area in the ranch where all the ranch.
Nice. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Right by South Point, if you know where that is.
Okay. Yeah, I know exactly where that is. Yeah.
So we have an acre and a half in a log cabin. It's the most unique house in Vegas, to say the least, for sure. And
that's awesome.
An acre and a half anywhere else except for that little south area where there's nothing.
And at Cirque, any chance you worked with a lady, Ella Storm, at all? Or ring a bell?
Sounds familiar. No. I've actually never worked for Cirque though. I did a show called All Wheels Extreme, which is a company by All Wheels Sports. The owner of the show, her dad is Charles Schultz, the creator of Snoopy. So
yeah,
I worked for her for about 9 years or so before starting my own show. And then I moved to Vegas. Once the show was profitable, I started my shoe company. And I've only really done my own shows since then. I don't know. I feel like as an entrepreneur, the moment I start to work for someone else is when I'm kind of giving up on my dream of being like an entrepreneur. I noticed as soon as I started working for someone, I do like a lot of social media stuff. As soon as I started working for someone doing social media, when I first started my footwear company, I realized by the time I got home from work, I had no more energy left to put it into my own company. And that's when I discovered, someone was like, why don't you do Postmates? And I was like, what's Postmates? And they're like, you just deliver people's food. And I was like, that's perfect, because then I can just be like driving around all day working on my business from my phone. And I can actually take all of the money and recycle it back into the business and keep investing it. And the business has grown quite a bit since. And I've just been basically living off of $70 a day. That's been my bare minimum. I just make $70 every day on either Postmates or Doordash. And then I use that to pay all my bills. And then I don't take any money out of the other two businesses. So
that's awesome, man. Yeah. I'm the same thing. After going through this journey, I don't think I could do it any other way. So
yeah. I thoroughly enjoy driving around. I think it's the most lucrative possible job, especially if someone's an entrepreneur, because you can, for one, sit in the car and listen to all the audiobooks. Like I've listened to probably around 50 to 100 audiobooks in the last 3 years, just like driving around, like listening to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all the books that he wrote. I'm listening to the next next 5 moves. Have you heard of that book? It's by Patrick Bet-David. That one's amazing. I'm like halfway through it right now, but yeah, just listening to books and being able to answer my emails and do all the stuff while just driving around and making money. And also this year I started, once I had a 23 show tour that started March 23rd of 2020, and it extended through December 2020, and the whole thing was gone. And I was like, uh-oh, I had already paid almost $10,000 in insurances and all this stuff to insure the shows that I booked that I thought were going to happen. And then I was like, uh-oh, didn't really have a backup plan. So now I'm going to start doing Doordash again. And then I started the YouTube channel, and here we are now. And so, there's so many other people that were in the same situation. Their jobs just disappeared in the thin air, and then all of a sudden everyone's doing DoorDash now. Like,
I mean, especially I know Las Vegas, right? When especially like Las Vegas got hit hard, right, when everything shut down.
There's no shows open in Vegas at all still. So it's like everyone became either like, I was talking to one of the other guys in the show. He became a tiles worker, setting tiles. Someone became a plumber. I went to Doordash and stuff. A lot of people were doing Doordash and Postmates and stuff. So it seemed like there was a lot of people, and it kind of like took my channel off because a lot of people were in the same boat, and I was just trying to help everyone out by like, hey, this is what you guys should do with like your money and stuff. And that's what it became. I never wanted to do DoorDash videos, that's for sure. And then it became like this whole, like, I was kind of forced into it, you know, didn't really have another way of making money. And I was like, uh-oh, YouTube it is then.
Yeah.
But anyways, you guys want to touch up on anything or any like disclaimers about the app or anything that we missed before I let you guys go?
No, I think the main one is, you know, we're adding a lot of people right now, right? So we have a lot of people signing up. So sometimes, you know, sometimes we notice that the texts are going out a little bit slow to people, or some people are just having trouble signing up. I think the main thing is that we're doing our damnedest to sort of spin up more servers and make sure that the service is, you know, humming as fast as it can for everybody. So if you do notice any problems or have any issues, we would love to hear any and all of it. We will personally sort of try to resolve them for you. And if not, it's still helpful for us to understand what's going on. So just, you know, we thank people for their patience, and sort of, you know, you're always able to reach me at sort of David@withpara, Jimmy's Jimmy@withpara, and, you know, we'll be happy to help. So, yeah.
I've noticed some people in the chat say like the texts are coming in slow, but I've never had a text that didn't at least come in 10 to 15 seconds before I could make the order. So even if they're slow, you're still gonna, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I've always been able to see the text before the text. For those of you listening, the text shows you exactly what the tip pay is. And also I love the little emojis that you guys put in there. I think that's hilarious with the X. If there's no tip, there's like a brownie face. If there's like an okay tip. I actually haven't.
There's one, hopefully. There's one, hopefully you catch a good one. There's a unicorn when you get a really good one.
So. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I haven't got one of those. I think DoorDash, they see my acceptance rate of 7% right now, and they're like, just give this guy all the bad orders.
Yeah. I've been shocked by some people in the group. Like, we've seen $40, $50 tips, which is pretty amazing. I mean, obviously they're not common, right? But I've never seen one of those, certainly.
Like Dasher or something to get that. Maybe they are actually, because I don't know. I always thought like, if maybe there's something in the algorithm to where if you keep declining the orders, then they keep giving you worse and worse orders. So
yeah.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's not. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them, but also sometimes I think there's a bit of just luck of the draw. There's you know, they're a unicorn for a reason. They're not very common.
Yeah, for sure. I think I've had one $40 tip ever.
Yeah.
Most you ever really get is like 15 maximum. But anyway, so I'm gonna end this video right here. Any last notes or anything we missed?
No, not on our end. Just thankful to you for having us on.
Yeah, of course. So thank you to the audience for checking this out. And please, again, share the video if you guys haven't yet. I'm probably going to get deactivated after this. I don't know. I don't really care, though. And subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't. Smash that like button for us. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.